Sanje chodan tsoje chonamla chanchu badu dani japsu chi dagi jinsu jibe chonamji dola pinjira sanje rubara sho sanje chodan tsoje chonamla chanchu badu dani japsu chi dagi jinsu jibe chonamji dola pinjira sanje rubara sho sanje chodan tsoje chonamla 장주 바도 다니 접수치 다게 진소 집에 초남지 로라 펜지르 상지 루버라 쇼 심제 탐제 대화다 대외 주다 데버라 주지 심제 탐제 동해다 동해지 주다 태워라 주지 심제 탐제 동해 매베 대화 메테오라 주지 심제 탐제 니리 차다 니다 태외 다뇽라 네버라 주지 심제 탐제 대화 대외 주다 네버라 주지 심제 탐제 동해다 동해지 주다 태워라 주지 심제 탐제 동해 매베 대화 메테오라 주지 심제 탐제 니리 차다 니다 태외 다뇽라 네버라 주지 심제 탐제 대화다 대외 주다 덴버라 주지 심제 탐제 동해다 동해지 주다 태워라 주지 심제 탐제 동해 매베 대화다 메테워라 주지 심제 탐제 니리 차다 니다 태외 따뇽라 네버라 주지 Hello to all. So recently I received a few questions by someone, so I will try to answer if possible. Whether you get a satisfying question or not is different, but I will try to cover what the person have asked. So the question was, I wish to ask about the topic of death and understanding death in a Tibetan Buddhism. So and then there are a few others kind of related to it, other questions. So death is something that no one can avoid. Whoever have been born on this planet, we have to face the death, whether we want or not, whether we believe or not. Death is something that everybody face, no matter how successful you are, no matter how famous you are, whatever titles that you hold, and as long as you have the flesh and bone, the physical body, we have to face. So it covers everybody on this planet. And then, of course, even the planet itself, from the Buddhist point of view, that everything, uh, that all the phenomena that what we see, what we touch, what we taste, what we hear, what we feel, um, by the five aggregate we call all is impermanent. So therefore, uh, in the Buddhism, one of the key practice is to understand the impermanence. Uh, so we talk about at all the time. So, however, that when I was visiting in Western countries, maybe 25 years or even 30 years ago, that people are telling me that you should not talk about impermanence uh, because people wouldn't like it. So that a subject that you may need to kind of avoid talk, um, especially if you're talking to Westerners, people in the West. But as I was saying, that this is something that everybody have to face, and then people also misunderstood what it means, why Buddhism talk about impermanence. And it doesn't mean, that you think our life is impermanent, and therefore, you keep thinking that, and you put yourself in a depression. It doesn't mean that. In here, what we, as a Buddhist, how we use to understanding of the impermanence, and bearing that in the mind, then whatever actions that we do, we activities that we do sensibly with more reasons, as knowing that self and this physical body is impermanent. Therefore, why should I have so much attachment for this body? And also, in the heart, sometimes we have hatred to others, angers, and so on and so forth. So this all uh, would be reduced if one uh, have proper understanding of life is impermanent. So then that will withdraw so many of these negative actions, and also so much of the greed. So in that way, we will, when we have less greedy, when we have less anger, when we have less attachment, then we are happier. Whether you believe or not, that is true. you can search or check yourself. So when you realize that our life is impermanent, and then what we would want to do in our life, what we want to achieve, what is meaning of life, all this become a question, huge question. Why I am here and what I can do, what is the purpose of our life. All this come in our head, question. So then we know that we are not here for just eat and produce the result. And also we will realize that we are here to cause trouble for neighborings. And we are not here to cause a war in between countries or, civil war, so on and so forth. So then, what is the purpose? What everybody wants, what I want. First, before thinking of all others, we would need to think ourselves what I want. We when we think in that way, we want happiness, joy. What we don't want, or what I don't want, is the suffering. So then just face that to others. The same. We all same. No one on this planet want suffering. No one would think uh, I deserve suffering. Everybody is looking for happiness. So therefore, we need to know how to build, how to create happiness. Happiness will not grow with uh, our physical body. When our body is growing, the happiness doesn't grow with status. So by thinking of the impermanence, it helps us, bearing it in our mind, it helps us put together our thoughts and what is the purpose of our life? Why am I here? And then knowing that the life, there is no definite that we live uh, age of 100 or 90 or 80 or 70. There is no um, definite for the death. It could be now, it could be next minute, it could be next day or month and year. So therefore, what we do, then from the Buddhist point of view, we think our life here is not to just eat and produce the result. So what do we do? And we act positively as self want happiness and joy, and likewise all other beings. So therefore, if I can help myself bring joy and happiness as well as others, I must do. It's my duty. That's the meaning of my life. Then, if I can't help others to gain happiness and joy, then what kind of promise? arise in our mind is, I mustn't cause any troubles, mustn't harm others. So just lay back and think about. So a person who would help if he or she have power to help you. However, this person would not harm you at all. Then what do you think that person? Would you say wonderful person or would you say terrible person? That's up to us to think. So from the Buddhist point of view, that sort of beings, human beings, we count as a wonderful person. And then of course, if someone who have a power, energy, and to talent to help other beings, then that's wonderful, what we need. However, even that person who cannot help others but would not harm others, that is wonderful person, good human being, good citizen of the world. So that's that. So here, uh, to talk about the death and how uh, to understand the death in a Buddhism or Buddhist point of view, uh, it is two things. First of all, that people who believing in a rebirth and people who doesn't believe in a rebirth, two categories. So people who first I will talk about the people who don't believe in a rebirth, but in order to face the death, how could one reduce when they are facing the death? How to reduce stress and could face the death more softly, more easily, without much fear. So then I will talk the other section later. So in also people who don't believe in a rebirth, there are two types in general. The one people who believe in people who have a faith in a religion or a kind of belief, and then the other is people who don't believe in uh, religion or who doesn't have faith. So if someone who doesn't believe in a religion, uh, we could say in a God, then those people still, of course, when they're facing the death or dying, they would also have a huge stress, fear, uh, although they don't believe after the death, although they don't believe they would or would not uh, be born in a heaven or not, or hell or not, still, as as a human being, as a dying, they have greater fear and worry. And obviously, because of maybe, I mean, there will be uh, millions of uh, thoughts would arise in their head, and those could be thinking of what would happen after my death, this my belongings, worry of my belongings, worry of the children, worry of the partner, and so on and so forth. And then it could be also that having greater attachment to the belongings, or also could be on uh, their physical body. So as you have so much of worry how my children, or if young or old, elder, whatever, they're gonna uh, be in the future, and I haven't secured their life or partner, and so on and so forth, and or even you have given something or whatever, secured this and that, still you would want to do more. If I live a little bit longer, I would do this and that. You have so much plan, or arise in your head, and this, as you are dying, you have no in reality you don't have time to do it. Therefore you feel regret, you feel sorry, you feel fear. So that's what is happening. So at this sort of point, although this person uh, doesn't believe in a rebirth, or doesn't believe in a hell or heaven or God, still you could uh, think in a positive way rather than a negative way. Uh, when I'm saying this, that what you have done while you were able to do in your life, in your journey, how much you helped other people, or how much you given to other people, support whatever you can, you have, and then concentrating on those, rather than thinking of what I haven't done, or what I couldn't do. Why? Because there is no hope. In reality, you cannot do, unless you wanted someone to do and write something. That is a separate subject. And then also, uh, being a human being, thinking, I have done what I can for my family. If one who have a really, really uh, open mind, or broader understanding, that person may thinking of helping communities, or societies, or uh, well-being of other people, wider communities. But if one is little shallower thought, holding a shallower thought, that might be concentrating on only a family, or my son, my daughter, or my partner, and so on and so forth, or my parents, whatever, wherever you are worrying. That's sort of so the two things: a, that worry will not help, and worry makes our breath shorter and shorter. You may die faster. Therefore, instead of doing that, maybe more relaxed. And in order to get a relaxation when you going through this, we need to reduce the fear. We need to uh, also we need to increase when the joy and satisfying sort of, we need to satisfy our life. And then through that, when you feel more satisfying what we have done, what you have done in your life, then you feel relaxed and less worried, less regret. However, if one have done so much of uh, negative actions, or you don't believe in a negative action, however, something that causes problems to, other people. And sometimes we too do get, people who harms other people at all the time. Or it could be, somebody is killing or involved in killings or involved in damaging people's limbs or whatever. Very kind of uh, being a harmful person. Then you could think, I have done all this, but these are not something that I'm proud of. Yeah, and now I understand this is not a good action. However, I hope that uh, I I should not have done these kind of actions. And if I would, this is in a theory, it's not a reality. But thinking to make your mind soften and relaxed, you would think like this: if I was able to go back to like a time zone wise, if you were able to go back, I would redo all this instead of harming others. And thinking in that way, it reduces your stress and that sort of thing. Uh, so hopefully, when you shorten your uh, shorten your breath, you may gain, or you may have less fear and then face the death and then die, in that way. Um, Now, if come back to people who believe in God, believing in hell and heaven and hell, then well, but not believing in a rebirth. So those people, it's much easier to uh, reduce their fear. So as one believing in a God, and then normally you have uh, anything that you have done, something positive, helping others and serving church or serving the religious community, whatever religious uh, religion you believe, that wherever you served, helped according to the religion that you believe in, you helped, then those positivities, you kind of feel like a joy, happy that you have done so much and so forth. And however, as a human being, we always hold a uh, false negative negativities in us. We are not 24 hours like a 24 carat gold. We always have some faults in our mind. Although we try to be a wonderful person, then even you practice that at all the time, and still when you were facing other people, when people condemn you, or when people uh, conflict with your view, whatever, then you automatically have some sort of thought that brings saddened or unhappy and so on and so forth. However, anyway, that all these negativities, or because of although being a religious person or believing in a God, still you might be, you know, very harmful person. Although you believe in a religion, you still, because of the desire, because of the anger and attachment and selfishness, you want everything for yourself and so on and so forth. So because of that, you act. As we know, every day everybody is moving around for what? 99% for living reasons. So 1% out there, the people who are thinking of other beings, you know. So this 99%, the percent that we might be included thinking of self so much. So what happens? Those are all thinking of self so much. When more concentrating on the self, this self-centered, the more negativities we do. The outcome would be more negativity. So all these negativities we have done yesterday and today, night, tomorrow. And likewise, in the past 20 years or 30 years or 10 years, whatever. And then we may do now and may do in the future. So all these negativities we possess, we create it. We believe, you believe that we are or you are created by God, but God did not create the negativities. The God will not take all the activities, negative and positive, both. You can't give credit to the God. So all the negativities and you act isn't blessed by God. So all these negativities, what we need to do now? I have very little knowledge on the uh, uh, outside Buddhism, so I can't talk much. However, what I understood is that you can confess what you have done. So obviously, when you are healthy, you go to church or you go to a mosque, and wherever you go, and then you confess what you have done, something that's bringing uh, sorrow, unhappiness, suffering to others. You confess. Then what happens? Automatically in your mind, you think, oh, I'm kind of less heavier. So that reduces your guiltiness, if they're guilty feeling. So, and that is when you are healthy. But now, if you are dying, what you need to do? You kind of count whatever you remember, all the negativities, even including not something that you can't remember. All these I would want to confess to wherever you're believing, and then that's one thing, and then you kind of cleared yourself, pured yourself. Then then not only that, then now you think of all the positivities, bringing up the children, bringing up your whatever you have taken the responsibilities. All these positive parts you bring into your thought. Remember, and then have a delightness or delight, and then also be joyous and rejoice. So when you do that, your mind will be much calmer, and then and your breathing and your fear will be reduced much more and much lesser, so that then you can think maybe more, and you may have wonderful words to say to your family, and also you may have time to share your thoughts. Then last moment of thoughts, if you are good thinker, if you are experienced, if you are sensible person, then you would have a solid, wonderful advice to the family or friends or the world. So you have time, a moment to leave those messages to others. So in order to do that, instead of concentrating on the self, thinking, I want it, I want uh, avoid the death, for instance, if you think that it's impossible, no way. So what is the point? So instead of that, you know, I'm going to God land or heaven and so on and so forth, and then all the especially people who believe in a God, they when they have faith in a God, you are going to be born in heaven. So what is the point of worrying? So then the thinking that way reduces and it brings joy, and then also that you have confessed all the uh, negativities that you have done. So you be much more relaxed and happy, and you can, as I said, leave all the your wonderful message to your children or family or whoever for the world. So that's something that people who believe in religion in general or in a outside uh, Buddhism. So here now in a Buddhism, then there is a lot of uh, there is a big question whether Buddhism itself is a religion or not, whether religion covers the Buddhism as a religion. It's people, the scholars are saying that Buddhism is not actually the doesn't go under the name of the religion. It is far more than the religion itself. So anyway, this is not what I'm going to clarify. However, that from the Buddhist uh, point of view, then everybody accepts the death and dying, and as we need to face the death, I don't wanna create so much of negativities that I have to carry in this life and the future life. So trying not to do so much of negativities. So what then we count negativities? How many negativities? Like a variety of negativities. Then there are 10 categories of negativities, like 10 non-virtues. So then we, from the uh, physical, from the speech, from the thought and the mind. So in total, we have 10 of them. So we try to avoid. So people who are sincerely trying to avoid all these 10 negativities, they are good human beings. And so that they would not, on purpose or something like that, will not harm. Supposed to be. So anyway, then we as a Buddhist try not to act in these uh, 10 non-virtuous activities. Try not to engage in it. So and instead of that, we try to engage in a positive 10 virtues. So the more you engage in the 10 virtues, the more merrier. So we talk about accumulation of merit. So the more positivity actions you do, the more merit you gain. Then also we have their uh, uh, maybe I wouldn't go there. So more merrier. Therefore, people try to act in a positive and avoid the negativities. Then, of course, the reason is because uh, uh, it's we are or I am impermanent, and I don't know. Uh, there's no sure, not sure that when I will be dying, and therefore it's better not act at all. They may not have time to confess. For instance, if you have instant death, then there is no time to confess. So it's always better not to act in the negativity actions. So that then immediately, kind of you become quite pure, not harming others, and instead of harming, or you act or engage into the positivities actions, positive actions. And also when we are dying, what we do and thinking, looking back in a past, and when you look back, as you know that impermanence and so forth, in your as you bearing in the mind, and therefore you always act more in the positive ways. So when you look back, you have accumulated so much of positive or virtuous activities, virtues. So you have a huge mountain-like, if possible to see it, if it possible to have a form, then it like a mountain-like. Usually, if you don't think in this way, positive or negatives or life, purpose of life, impermanent, and so on and so forth, what happens? There could be like a mountain-like negativities behind you to carry. But because you are thinking in this way, and you are very careful what you do, what you say, what you act, so you, when it's counting amount, that you have mountain-like positivities that you could dedicate for other people and for yourself, and gain or rejoice, have a rejoice, and also then you have much lesser negativities to carry. So also that you can say, oh, I did my best in my life. However, I have engaged some negativities, actions, whatever. So I would want to forgive, that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, please forgive me my actions that caused problems to others and to self, whatever. So, and I would change from now not to engage something like this sort of negativities, and you promise, and you uh, dedicate all the positivities to others. That would, go down very well, and you will feel much satisfying, and then what you have done and what you have promised, and then you more likely to see your future, the path where you're gonna be, and then at the time you would make also wishes, and whether you wanted to born in a pure land, whether you wanted to born in a human life, and what sort of human life, and who uh, one who helps, one who have encouragement to help all the beings, all the sentient beings, and so on and so forth, social worker, and a wonderful person, and so on and so forth. Or you want it to be more relaxed and joy in somewhere in the pure land, and listen more teachings, and uh, gain more wisdoms there. Or you born in here and you purify your negativities, whatever in all these previous lives, and burn. As we are human beings, we have to face so many things, so many uh, difficulties. So more difficulties we face, and then if we are able to think, utilize, that we would be able to burn all these negativities that we have created in the past. It could be burned, and then we become a lighter. And so then when we trying to concentrate on understanding, gaining wisdoms, then will be much faster, or and more successful, will not have much of obstacles, and so therefore you can make a wish where you wanted to be born, what you wanted to do, all this, and then of course, then if you have, as you have been a good human being, someone who cares all the sentient beings, all the citizens of this planet Earth. So you would have wonderful message to share with those family and friends. So you tell this and what is important in our life. So then you go, and instead of fearing so much, there will not be fearing so fear will not be so much of fear. Why? Because you know, you believe, you understood this is uh, something that you cannot avoid. This was the death is born when you were born. And in other words, every day since you were born, death is together. Every minute passes, every minute you are dying. So there's no, huge shock when you are dying. I hope this makes a little bit sense. Then, of course, uh, there are much more uh, subject to talk about how to face the death and after the death. And this is a bigger or deeper subject, and I wouldn't talk today. And also, Uh, yeah, then maybe I stop here and we see what we can do next time. Thank you. Oh. 刚日拉维国瑞新甘肃潘当电话马里就业的今日生活电子家族以下边 CD 报道电就是及帕马身边他们见电当电就是经着他们见道路东光大强就三八可能速修吧，电到关键马浪主就是及。This 个没信你讲。